So just moving it around, you could see even just it grew out really well. So I'm gonna start cutting so we can see the magic.
So you prep the hair. I think, we were just talking about this, how important it is to have some product in the hair when you're working. Can you tell us a little bit about how, why, what?
Sure. So, I mean, if you know me, grooming cream is my passion. I mean, I love it. It gives a nice, soft movement to the hair while I'm cutting so I can actually see what's going on. So I'm just gonna grab my razor.
Yeah, I was just saying how, over the past 20 years or so, it's something I always go back to as my kind of cutting prep.
Yeah, and just like working from her natural pattern. I call this like the swirl or, yeah, pretty much just the swirl.
The whirl, the swirl, the calic.
Calic, and starting from there, and then high recession. I'm just gonna go for it with a big chunk. And again, we are creating texture.
So tell us about your choice of the razor and, the kind of unguarded blade. I think it's gotten more popular now than ever, but there's still a lot of fear and I'm not even talking about clients, I'm talking about hairdressers.
Yeah, I mean, people always say that, and it's like, oh, I'm so afraid to cut with the razor, my clients are afraid they're gonna have a bad haircut, but sometimes you don't get such a great haircut with scissors.
That's what I always say.
Right?
You don't blame the tool, blame the tool.
Yes.
The tool who cut your hair.
You gotta get in there and just cut it, don't put the razor down. I promise you, once you learn how to use the tool, you won't want to put it down. So just cutting, moving the hair around, seeing what it's doing for me, looking at the hair growth, the patterns, and you can see already that texture that the razor is giving her.
So would you say some length was coming off also with what you were just doing, or was it just purely internal?
Definitely a little bit of length and a lot more internal. I wanted to have the movement. I want her definitely to have the movement. So I'm just gonna leave that and then come over to the side. Again, looking at the high recession, coming from this pivot point, getting a section to the low recession, grabbing it.
Is this like your third section? Did they kind of maybe pivot a little bit off the crown?
Yeah,
just vertical pivoting sections?
Vertical, pivoting off the crown, getting in there, getting in with my razor, flat of the razor, really taking that weight out, a little bit of length to get that movement.
Can you talk about the parts of the razor? I know, many, many years ago when I first came to Bumble and did some education and learned about the flat of the razor, the edge of the razor.
Sure. So I like to use, the best thing about an unguarded razor is that you can use all parts of the razor, right? Tip, the heel, the flat, you can get in there, do some weaving. If you get really creative and wanting to get weight out, which I might demonstrate. But that's the best thing about using an unguarded razor. You can really get in there and not snag the hair.
Yeah, I know a lot of people feel comfortable with the guard, but the guard does kind of grab the cuticle more. It's like if you've never cut with an unguarded razor, you haven't experienced the sharpness of the tool. I always say it's the difference between a really dull pair of scissors and a really sharp pair. It's
I definitely agree.
Yeah.
I think that especially when I'm teaching, sometimes if people are a little hesitant, I'll start off with the guard.
Sure, totally.
And then I'll be like, if their movements are going well, I'm like, all right, take it off.
Yeah.
And then they're like, oh, this is magic.
Yeah.
I can totally feel the difference. And it's nice when you're educating and you see your students a whole wow moment. So
Again, it feels like you're just continuing to pivot around, little pie sections, just pivoting around.
Pivoting,
Elevating.
body positions, taking the weight out, see that one, and then some length.
And kind of working from that whirl out. So was it maybe a little bit shorter on the inside and you're leaving
It's
some length on the
totally
edges?
shorter here,
Yeah.
and then I'm leaving that length so that I can go back and like signature it.
Yeah, and it's wonderful with the product, that the grooming cream that's already in there, you can just see the hair perform. It's like you're styling it as you're cutting it.
You can already see what's going on.
Yeah.
Like get in there, scrunch it up, and she's already got a style. If I tuck this behind the ear, and if I wanted to go shorter, sorry, you could almost already see like if she had a short pixie, what it would look like.
Yeah.
I think that's the next one we're gonna
Absolutely.
do. Real short. So again, pivoting, following the hairline, because you can see right here, I'm pivoting from the swirl, and it talks to you, the hair. You need to listen to it.
What's it saying to you right
It's
now?
saying, girl, take that weight out.
So Barbara, has Coco cut your hair before?
Yes, oh
Yeah.
my gosh, she was there from the very first start. So we were
So-
like, yeah, we're gonna be buddies from now on.
So you guys have a connection.
Yes.
Excellent.
Yes.
Excellent.
So I started from the top, went around here, I'm gonna jump to this side, and then go to the back, and follow that.
Beautiful. And just kind of layered from the inside out,
Inside
taking
out.
weight out, making it a little bit shorter at the crown, leaving the length on the edges. Just beautiful and simple.
Beautiful, simple, making my signature after I eat all that. Weight removal, definitely clean sections because you don't want to lose yourself. So pivoting again from the swirl of the head or calic. If that drops out, that's fine. Turn around because I don't want to cut this way. You always want to cut away from yourself.
Is that purely a safety thing?
It's like if you look at this, it's
Yeah.
like, ooh.
Cutting into your palm.
But then also remember, I'm leaving that length. So if I cut this way, I might lose it, and I don't want to do that. And I'm not over-directing, I'm pivoting straight out from the head. Like, just move your client's head or your model's head.
So I mentioned in the introduction that you've been with Bumble since the 90s, for over 20 years. Tell me a little bit about your kind of career with Bumble, your life with the brand, and what you're up to currently.
So I started with Bumble in, I said before, it was 1997, which I can't even believe that we're already so into it longer. I mean, 20, 40 years I think it's been. And my career has been starting as a hairdresser, and then I had an opportunity to become an educator. And when you educate, you learn so much. It's amazing. And then I just like, from there I started learning, working with the legendary Howard Raymond and a lot of people, Nick Rogio. I mean, I've worked with and had the opportunity to work with so many amazing hairdressers. In the early Bumble days. And now we're just educating our staff and like moving through the past 2 years that we had that were crazy, and just making it all work again. I can't wait to get back to education.
There are two, so we're in one of the salons that also houses the Bumble University. This is in the Meatpacking District in Manhattan, probably one of the most fashionable, trendiest places in the world, certainly in New York City. And it houses this incredible facility. I'll just show you a little bit. This is kind of the library. This is where when you have classes here, you meet in the morning, you break for lunch, and you can have some community with your fellow hairdressers. Then there's a beautiful classrooms where you can do technical work, and then there's a beautiful theater for live demonstrations. And it sounds like it's going to be up and running again real soon. It's been closed during COVID, but looks like towards the end of the summer, classes will be started again. So I know the Bumble Network's very excited about that.
Yeah, I mean, if we're not here, we'll be coming to you. So, just getting in there and starting educating. I miss everybody out there. So, we've been doing this Facebook and Instagram through the pandemic. And now it's time to really get out there again, I think.
So Vanessa from the UK, she's just getting into her level 2 hairdressing, so it sounds like she's kind of at the beginning. And she says this looks hard to do, but lots of hearts.
Not to say it's easy,
Yeah.
but again, getting comfortable with your razor, it's your friend, and as soon as you do that, you won't put it down, I promise.
She says you make it look so easy.
You know, once you feel comfortable with the razor, you know, it's limitless. And thank you for saying that.
Yeah, but I mean, you know, the one thing you can't teach is experience, and it's all practice. And I haven't met anyone who just picks up the razor and is like a master at it. It's like a learning curve and a feeling and a lot to do.
Definitely, just even holding the tool. I mean,
Yeah.
you grab the tool and hold it and just maybe learn and teach yourself the different positions, the tip, the heel, the flat, and just holding it is important.
Yeah.
And once you do that, it's limitless. Taking that weight out and a little bit of the length, because remember, Barbara wants to still be able to have some versatility in her hair.
So really just kind of pivoting all the way around from the crown, working from slightly shorter to longer, kind of getting inside there with your stroke, taking off a little bit of length on the ends, and already just, if we get her head up just for a second, because it's just such a beautiful look even right now.
Right?
Wow.
You can see all
Yeah.
that texture that I put in there. Right?
Vanessa
So now-
says thank you for your advice.
You're welcome. So then just also product in the hair while I'm cutting it, I love it. Moving the hair around, looking to see, you know, tailoring your haircut to what you want it to look like. Putting your signature on it is always a good thing. I'm gonna go back in and take some of this off.
Yeah, you've used the word signature a bunch of times. What does that mean to you?
So signature is basically your signature. It's like something that you could come in and say, oh God, that looks like a cocoa cut, or that looks like a razor cut. So that's mostly the signature.
What would you say makes it a cocoa cut?
Radical weight removal. I love doing weight removal. And I just like the versatility it gives you and the movement. So we did all that. I'm gonna cut a little carve a little bit here so that when she pulls this back and it's long, she has something that like just peeks out. So I'm gonna lift it up so that it has a little bit of graduation, and starting from the high recession, coming in with the center of my blade, a medium stroke. And you see how that just sits in there so cute? And it doesn't even look short.
It's just like the edge of the haircut, the edge
Yeah.
of the face.
Just opens it up, and you can just see, like, boom, her
Yeah.
cheekbone, her eyes.
The apple of the cheekbone.
Yes.
Yeah, it's like making it better, more accentuated.
Yeah. Those little things make the difference. And
Exactly.
when you're
Well,
styling,
that's the signature. That's
The little things.
Those little things.
when you're styling your own hair, Barbara, do you find that razor cuts are easier to style for you?
Definitely. I'm just like, okay, the work here is done.
The haircut's the work.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
The haircut's the work, because I'm one of those, like, don't put a lot of time into the making my hair every morning, so this is like very helpful for me.
I think that's when the haircut's the most important. Like people who don't want to be overly fussy need the best haircut, because the
Yeah.
best haircut will style itself with a little bit of the right product. And
Yeah, I definitely, right product, a good haircut, good texture, heel, medium stroke, or I should say larger stroke, and just,
So again, you keep using the term stroke, and just for people that are unfamiliar, what does it mean? What's the importance of it? What's the difference from these shorter to deeper or open or larger?
so your larger stroke is going to give you more texture, and it's going to, just give you more texture, and a shorter stroke is going to give you more of a solid line. So like when people say, oh my God, I want something, you know, a little bit more solid, you could still do that with the razor. It's this stroke, right? You got a wide stroke that's gonna like minimize and take weight out. And medium stroke is, I don't want to say safe because I'm a little safe, but I kind of just get in there.
So like around the perimeter here, where you want like a more of a definite length, would you say you're using like a shorter stroke than you did inside?
So
Yeah.
this was wide, and then everything else was medium, and now I'm just looking to see, because I don't want to cut this short, but I want to put my razor in and take a little bit more weight out. And you can see the texture just coming to life with the product that I already have in there, right? Less is more sometimes. Tucking it, moving it around to see if I'm getting the look that I want for Barbara.
You know, how would now, you know, Bumble's been around now, this is over 30 years solidly, you know, and has gone through many evolutions as any brand would. You know, what would you say if you had to describe what Bumble is these days and what it means to the hairdresser? What would you say? You know, I can remember in my days it was always like, oh, that's where the editorial hairdressers, you know, work together and do fashion shows, and then it became about razor cutting and.
For me, Bumble is definitely about family, right? And then it's also about learning, learning different textures, working with your fellow hairdressers. I mean, I think that for me, and besides the education and just completely always keeping engaged with what's going on, I think that is Bumble for me. It always has been.
Now you still have the two salons here in New York, beautiful, like, you know, considered some of the best salons in New York. Is there still apprenticeship? Is that a big part of what happens? Are people coming in and assisting and going through programs? You know, it's in some of the industry that's kind of fading away.
Yeah, I mean, we still have assistants. We're building up more assistants, like more of a team, but you know, we've just been through a big thing, so I think we're just setting ourselves up for success for this next 2000 and what, we're 2002, so 2003. So you gotta keep on looking out.
Plus 20.
Plus 20, right?
But we get your gist.
Yes.
Prakash is wondering, is this kind of hair cutting suitable for curly or wavy hair?
Absolutely. Barbara's hair is wavy, so you can definitely blow this out if you want to and you have a different look. Or, like I said before, we have a little bit of grooming cream in it, put some product in it, and just scrunch it so that it has that wave and you can see all the texture that I just put in. So we see the back now. It has a lot more texture, more feel, but if I wanted to, there's so many things that she can do. She can grab it, twist it up. You know, there's still things that she can do. It's not like a short pixie where she's just, that's it.
So, you know, with traditional hair cutting, or what most people would consider kind of scissor, precision, geometric hair cutting, once you've connected all the guidelines and checked it, like, you know, you're done. But with razor cutting and this kind of a little bit more feeling-based cutting, how do you know when you're done?
Well, you're pretty much done before you think you are.
That's,
So
yeah.
you gotta stop.
Don't overdo it or you just start cutting it out.
Yeah, you lose what you just put in. So
Yeah.
definitely step back and look to see what's going on. And I love the texture that's going on in here. You could even see, like, this stuff is looking good. Maybe take a little bit of this out, coming from behind.
That
So
piece
we
just
can
said to you, hey, cut me.
Yes.
Yeah,
Because I like the dip and the flip in
Oh,
it,
yeah,
but I
beautiful.
don't want too much.
it's gorgeous.
You know, she's got some cute little bits. We're not ready for the bangs yet, but I kind of want to just do a little bit right here, so she can still tuck it.
Coco, what's your background? Are you a native New Yorker, and how did you become a
I'm
hairdresser?
New Yorker. I'm born in Queens, raised in Long Island. hair, doing my friend's hair. It's just something that I really love to do and just really good at. And then I worked in Long Island for about 6 years. Now I'm just touching the hair and just seeing where the weight needs to be removed. So I'm pretty much done. Like I can even just put my comb down and just feel the hair. I worked for a company called Harvey Allen.
Sure.
in Long
I've
Island.
been to Harvey Allen a couple times over the years.
Which, one in Merrick? Or
He used to have like a little makeup bar in there.
I worked for Harvey Allen
Yeah.
for 6 years.
Yeah.
And then I was just ready.
You'd be hard pressed to name a salon that I haven't been to. Yeah.
God. And I was just ready. I was ready in my head. I was ready for something new. I was ready to, be a real New Yorker, not just a Long Island New Yorker. And I came to Bumble, and Connie hired me, and that's it. That's the history of it.
And what was your training like? Was it one of these like 2-year kind of?
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I trained for 2 years, and then I was just about to get on the floor, and they were like, I think you need to learn a little bit more razor cutting. And I was bummed out, but I have to say that it was the best thing I had to do.
Yeah, I kind of have the mimic story, but in the Sassoon world. And when I look, same thing. When I look back at it, I'm like, thank God they slowed me down. Thank God that someone was like, you need to build a stronger foundation, and you'll go further.
It really changed my life. Like the foundation that I got with learning how to do bobs and textured razor bobs. I definitely was a little bit more shy, but those last 3 months that I got is when I got all of this stuff. Signaturing, texture, looking at the hair in a different way.
So do you still believe that before someone is able to do what you're doing, they really should focus on a strong scissor foundation?
100%.
Yeah.
I think scissor foundation is something that you need to learn, because if you can't learn to structure things, it's hard to break them down. So if you see everything that I'm doing here, I'm breaking down texture, I'm looking at shapes. So if you get a strong foundation with the scissor, when you move to the razor, is when you're really going to see the versatility of the things you can do with it.
Absolutely. Yeah, but sometimes I do worry, like, someone maybe kind of very young, they see this, it's fun, it's so pretty and modern, and they just like want to jump into it, and I'm always like, slow down. You gotta crawl before you can walk, you gotta walk before you can run, and this is running.
100%. I promise you, if you learn how to cut a straight line, once you start doing it with the razor, it's going to change your life. So definitely start with your fundamentals, and then work on your craft with removing weight, using all different types of tools. And I mean, hairdressing will be completely different from start to finish. So I'm kind of done. Like,
Yeah.
I don't want
Looks
to
fantastic.
I have to stop. If not, I'll take that good stuff out.
Yeah, it looks amazing.
So it's like tuckable. She's got the texture. I can even go in there and grab it and get in there using the flat of my blade. Get some more weight out. She gets more texture. And remember, it's all about balance, right? It's about balance. You want things to look, I say even, but sometimes a little bit that's, not supposed to be there. Kind of looks good.
Yeah, we like the word balance better than even, because making everything even doesn't make it a good haircut, It's got to have balance and...
Remember, like, hair grows differently, right? So if you have one bit that comes down, the other bit might want to go in a different direction. So if you cut something a little shorter, it works. Like, it just gives it that versatility. So I'm going to take the liquid finish wax
Let's see that.
and just scrunch. And it just gives a bit more texture.
So there was already
We already have gluten cream.
as like a base that you were cutting with, and you got it like really well distributed through the hair. And now working with the spray wax, and we'll be sure to
Just
get a look at that.
scrunching it gives a little hold, because the grooming cream is water-based, so it's not going to give you any hold. It gives you more mobility. But this has a little waxy texture to it, and it'll give you that more curl, more texture. It'll bring out the texture I just put in. Right, scrunch it, piece it up, tuck, move it around. Is that good? Do I want to get in there a little bit more? Maybe just in that bit right there. And this is definitely like more, more advanced, definitely. Looking at things versus everything has to be even, right? Working with her texture, working with the way the hair grows out of the head, and making sure she's able to wear her hair first and have versatility.
Well, if you're just joining us, Gerard Scarpese here, craft hairdresser, co-founder of the Hairbrain community with Coco Santiago, longtime kind of legendary Bumble stylist and educator. We're here at the Bumble and Bumble University, the House of Bumble in the Meatpacking District. This is the library where there's an incredible collection of books and magazines and inspiration. This is where when hairdressers come to take courses, they get their lunch breaks and their meeting times. The academy, the university will be opening up again very shortly by the end of the summer to start to take courses again. You know, one of the most important institutions in our craft in modern times, I think, and I say it all the time, a lot of what we're seeing in trends in hairdressing now, you know, comes out of what Bumble's really kind of done in the past 20, 25 years. And you want to come to the home of where it was created, this is it.
Right, I think I'm done.
Looks fantastic. Barbara, beautiful. You've been watching yourself in the mirror?
Yeah.
You love it?
It's like, wow, it's just getting better and better and better.
Yeah, that's...
Yeah, when things look good, just step away. You know, don't look at it. Sometimes you just need to leave it. And it looks different, however I push it around too. And then if I tuck this,